Hey everyone. I know it's kind of dark. Um, I just didn't feel like turning on the light. I just wanted to talk about what happened. I feel like I can't do another video until I do this. I wrote this whole long thing on Facebook, and and I have a video on my dog and the reasons that I got him. And my husband was against getting a pet because he felt that it was going to hurt too much to have a pet. He felt that it was going to be too much responsibility and that he was probably going to get stuck with the responsibility, which he wasn't. He just used to walk him every morning. That's it, before he left to work. But he said that when they die, it's really painful, and he really didn't want that. I'm only wearing foundation, a little bit of lip gloss, and the tiniest bit of green mascara and red lip gloss, because I have been hysterical crying, and I might be hysterical crying during the video, and it doesn't make any sense to put any makeup on. It's going to come right off. My foundation will probably come off. But anyway, he was abandoned. Sonny was abandoned by his mother at 2 weeks, and I think he had some serious issues. And he used to bite. And, I'll probably get flack for this. He kind of he wanted to be the alpha, in the house. And, he was friendly and playful, but mostly if he thought you were going to take away his food, he would bite. But he didn't really draw blood. He might, you'll see a prick of blood, but he really didn't draw blood. This the worst. The day that we hit him was when he took my makeup brush. I had this makeup brush for so long, and I was putting on my makeup, and I got up, and when I came back, I think I got up to go to the bathroom. When I came back, he was chewing it up, and I tried to take it away with my toe, because I forgot what they call that, ambidextrous, but I tried to take it away with my foot, and he latched onto my foot, and I'm sure there was some bleeding, but it turned black. It swelled up, and that was when we decided that he had to get hit, for his biting, because he needed to understand that we are in control. So that first year, I would say he bit Stephanie. We get a rolled up newspaper or whatever, and hit him, and we had to beat him down into submission a few times. We went to puppy training, and to be honest, we're the ones who learned more than he did, and we realized that we needed to not set him up for failure. Don't leave fooling around. How you give your pet scraps? We couldn't do that to him, because as soon as we tried to give him food, he got vicious, this food is mine, stay away, blah, blah, blah. So we knew what set him off, and we avoided that. Also, the cage. I used to think that cages were horrible and cruel, but actually, dogs are den animals, and they like to find a place where they can hide from everybody, and just their place of zen and peace. And that's what we did for him. We got him a cage, and that became his place of zen and peace. And if he, because even like, let's say he tried to go into the garbage and you scolded him, he would get vicious. He would start gnarling at you and stuff. So we would say go when he did it, and he would go into the cage, and he would stay. We would lock it, and he would stay there. And when you would go lock the door to the cage, he was getting vicious and gnarl at you and show his teeth. And I used to spray water at him and just look him in the eye when he did that, because I wanted him to know we're the boss. And so I would say 90% of the time he was such a playful and loving dog. He was so friendly with everyone, and everyone always said how beautiful he was. And he was. And so when he was about a year old, year and a half, we took him back to puppy training. We learned that he had anxiety issues, mostly separation anxiety. Every time we left the house, we would have to cage him, because this dog would tear up he got some stuff of ours that we love, that we've had for years, really nice stuff. He'd go through all the garbages. We'd come back to a mess. So if we left the house, we would lock him in the cage, and he would have the most pitiful cries. Once or twice he even got out of the cage. Don't ask me how. But he just really had separation anxieties. And so maybe it was because his mom abandoned him at 2 weeks. I don't know. Maybe he had a fight with 11 of his brothers and sister puppies to get food. I don't know what his issues were. But, we lived, like, he would go in the cage when he wanted to be away from us. Whenever we had company, I didn't trust if he would bite anyone, if he misbehaved. And they said don't put him in there as a punishment, but we just felt it was safer if he stayed there. He would feel safest. That's his place, is at in peace. And and he went there all the time whenever he felt he needed to be there. At night we had to lock him up because once we heard him go through the garbage, and I just walked upstairs. I didn't even, I was half asleep. I didn't even see the garbage on the floor or nothing. And he just started showing his teeth. I'm like, what is the problem? And then I turned on the light, and it was that. And this is the middle of the night. We slept in like the basement, and so we had to go upstairs to go to the bathroom. And I just wanted to go to the bathroom. And so we said, to avoid trouble, and nothing was that he would go on my bed, and when I came to the bed, he would bark at me and gnarl at me because he felt it was his bed. So we had to learn we couldn't let him on the bed. At night we couldn't let him on the sofa during the day, because then he just always wanted to be the alpha male, and we couldn't let him be that, or we'd have to live in fear. So 90% of the time, again, he was a very, very, very friendly dog. But once a year, for whatever reason, and it wasn't always about food, and mostly my daughter would get it, he would bite. Again, he really didn't draw blood. That only time it was really bad was when he bit my foot. But even if he did draw blood, it was just little dots, And we'd always tell him, go into your cage, and we'd lock him in there. So it was just like once a year. I don't know. It was like he would just forget himself. I don't know what his reasons were. Especially my daughter, she would put her hand to him, and I don't know, she would wear lotion. I don't know if he didn't like the smell. I don't know. She would put lotion on her hands and feet. If she put her foot next to him, he would just bite. And again, if he drew blood, it was just a little bit. And this is like once a year. I don't know what his problem was. Sometimes we'd go a whole year without, a problem, an incident. So we just were very careful with him. And most of the time, like I said, he was very friendly. And then we come here, and the apartment, was smaller. We lost about 400 square feet. So we used every inch of that apartment, and the cage was too big. The only space available was right up the stairs. As you walk in, I felt that kind of looked tacky, and it didn't even fit. So we just left him, and he was, I guess, 7 years of being in the cage. He stopped. He was old already. He was like whatever, 7 years old. He didn't create a mess. He didn't do anything. And so we figured, okay, we're okay. But now he didn't have that place of safety. And I noticed that he would retreat down the stairs in that, you remember my staircase of doom in that other apartment. And he would just stay down there. He just stayed down there most of the time. And, you know, before we came to Texas, he would, every night, we did let him in the bed for playtime at about, I would say about 6 or 7 o'clock at night. I lay down. He would be on the bed, and he would come up, and we would have playtime. We would rub his belly. We just have, you know, like about half an hour of playtime before he got tired or something. I would let him play with Piggy, but supervised so he wouldn't tear him up. You know, we had that like every night almost for like 7 years. But when we moved to Texas, and he didn't have a place where he could be, he just stayed at the bottom of those stairs. And he hadn't bitten in 2 years, and he bit my daughter's foot. But again, it was maybe he didn't like really tear the skin, like, or maybe just a dot of blood. And we would say go, and then he started going through the garbage again. So, you know, he's a dog. You can't really reason with him. So what if we scolded him again? He would start showing his teeth, and then we'd say go, and he would go to the bottom of the stairs. That's where he would retreat to. And he didn't really come upstairs much, only to eat. He wasn't coming up for his playtime because in the beginning I used to actually conk out. I guess I was exhausted. I'm getting older, and instead of having that playtime at 7 o'clock, I was conking out for half an hour to an hour, and we just didn't have that playtime anymore. He just wanted to be at the bottom of the stairs. If he stayed in the stair, maybe the hallway, and if we passed him, he would just go downstairs. Like, he didn't want to be bothered. And he, you know, so he bit my daughter's foot, and I'm like, you know, I don't know what's wrong with him, but I know that he just didn't want to be bothered. He didn't have the cage anymore. And when we got Juju, she had me so stressed out because she kept running outside and wanting to run into the street, that we had the hardest time, but we finally made that cage fit. It was really hard. It was like banging again. It was like hitting the wall and everything, but my husband found a way to open it. But he really wasn't interested. He only went in there because she had puppy food and he wanted to eat her puppy food, and that was like the only time he really went in there. So he did that a few times, but you know, he started getting depressed when he got her because we were just giving her so much attention, and then she used to bite him. And because she wanted to play, and then I remembered earlier this year, I think it was about April. I don't know if she went to go grab a piece of scrap on the floor. I don't know what happened, but he bit her, and I heard the horrible screams. And when I went around the sofa to see what he did, he started gnarling at me. And at that moment, I was like, if he lunges at me, I'm going to have to kill him. He's a big dog. He's 100 pounds. And I seriously, you know, thought I was going to have to kill him because I was, you know, afraid he could hurt me. And I was like, you know, he went down the stairs where he goes, and what we did, because he actually looked like he was so depressed because of all the attention that she was getting. What we did was we went out of our way to give him lots of attention, and you know, he learned to, you know, that incident is what straightened Juju out, and she started using her pad, and she started behaving more because he asserted himself to her that he was the alpha. And but I noticed he was just getting grumpy. I noticed, you know, I think I had told you he was getting lumps earlier this year, and we were scared. Well, actually, this was last year he was getting lumps, and the doctor said it was small, not to worry about it. And this year we had him tested, and they said it was just fat deposits. So, but you know, he wasn't. Again, we didn't have that playtime anymore. He didn't want to be around anybody anymore. I don't know if it's that he didn't have his cage. He was just getting older and grumpier. And then when we moved here, he didn't have any place to retreat to. We don't have stairs anymore. At least not in the apartment. So he had really no place to retreat to. And he was just getting grumpier and grumpier. And he started limping. I mean, they had told us that he's not a purebred lab. The mother was, but we don't know what the father was. So, they said that starting at 2 years old, they might have hip problems. But as they get older, you're going to see that they're going to have hip problems. And he was having a hard time. He started limping. He was having a hard time going up and down the outside stairs. And we started noticing his fur started getting these weird, like it didn't look soft. It was like kind of dry. Like the fur started looking dry in certain patches, and then like in his his elbow joints or whatever you call that. We started seeing little scabs. And he would just stay in front of the door. He didn't want to really be around us too much. Like he used to always either lay at me or my husband's feet, or he liked to be in my son's room. I mean, the reason we got him from my son is because, he was suffering from depression at a young age. I started noticing I thought it was loneliness because I was back and forth to the doctor with Stephanie so much. And he took so long to do his homework that he would stay home to do his homework. He used to come with me, but he had to carry all his books, his calculator, things would fall. And he's like, look, Mom, I'm just going to stay home. And this was when he was 9. And he was lonely, and so he wanted a dog to keep him company. And so he was, we used to call him my boy, and I was mommy, and my son was brother, and he liked to be with his brother. And so he spent a lot of time in my son's room, and mostly he just stayed in front of the door. To him, that was the only place familiar, because that's where he always was. In the other apartment up in Houston was down at the bottom of the stairs in front of the door. So I feel like he just didn't feel like he had that place that he could feel safe, or his place is in peace. And he was just getting grumpier. I would go to hug him and he would growl at me. And I mean, he did that when he was tired, but then I would just say, oh, come on, my baby. And then he would lighten up, but he wasn't lightening up.